In August 1945, Japan's surrender in World War II left Korea in a political vacuum after 35 years of colonial rule. Korean civilians celebrated liberation, but with no unified government, the peninsula faced uncertainty. The Allies had no concrete plan for Korea's future, setting the stage for external intervention. This moment marked the beginning of a division that would shape Korea's destiny. At the Potsdam Conference in July 1945, Allied leaders Truman, Stalin, and Churchill discussed post-war Asia but made no definitive plans for Korea. The U.S. proposed temporary trusteeship, assuming a swift reunification. However, lack of consensus sowed seeds for division. This oversight allowed geopolitical rivalries to later dictate Korea's fate along the 38th parallel. Days after Japan's surrender, Soviet troops swiftly occupied northern Korea per Yalta Conference agreements. By August 24th, they controlled Pyongyang, installing communist-led committees. The USSR's rapid advance surprised the U.S., who hadn't yet deployed forces south. This unilateral move made the 38th parallel a pragmatic boundary to halt Soviet expansion. On September 8, 1945, U.S. forces belatedly landed in Incheon to accept Japan's surrender below the 38th parallel. General Hodge's military government inherited colonial bureaucracy, fueling local distrust. Unlike the Soviets, Americans lacked Korean-speaking personnel, relying on conservative elites. This mismanagement deepened ideological rifts between the zones. On August 10, 1945, U.S. Colonels Dean Rusk and Charles Bonesteel hastily proposed the 38th parallel as a surrender boundary, using a National Geographic map. Intended to include Seoul in the U.S. zone, the line had no historical basis. Stalin accepted it, creating a de facto partition that mirrored Europe's Iron Curtain. From 1945 to 1948, U.S.-USSR Joint Commission meetings failed to unify Korea. The Soviets demanded exclusion of anti-communists, while Americans rejected power sharing. By 1947, the U.S. took the issue to the UN, escalating Cold War tensions. These breakdowns transformed the temporary 38th parallel into a hardened ideological frontier. In 1948, separate states emerged: the Republic of Korea (ROK) under Syngman Rhee in Seoul, and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea (DPRK) under Kim Il-sung in Pyongyang. Both claimed legitimacy over the entire peninsula, embedding hostility. The UN recognized only the ROK, isolating the North and cementing division. Post-1948, both Koreas engaged in border skirmishes, while superpowers armed their proxies. Stalin approved Kim's invasion plans, while U.S. Secretary Acheson's defense perimeter speech inadvertently signaled American disinterest in Korea. These miscalculations culminated in North Korea's June 1950 surprise attack, triggering full-scale war. At dawn on June 25, 1950, North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel, overwhelming South Korean defenses. Seoul fell in 3 days, prompting UN intervention led by the U.S. The war killed millions, mostly civilians, and saw China's entry after UN forces neared the Yalu River. The parallel became a battleground rather than a border. The July 27, 1953 armistice established the Korean Demilitarized Zone (DMZ) near the 38th parallel, creating one of the world's most fortified borders. No peace treaty was signed, leaving Korea technically still at war. The DMZ's barbed wire and guard posts symbolize how a temporary line became a permanent Cold War relic.